I feel the same way. Just why? How? Stop. Please? Was this necessary? Was this necessary? God. I don't know what to say. I really just don't know. I guess I'm going to try. I'm already wasting enough time as it is, because I'm just at a loss of words. So Home Sweet Home Alone was directed by Dan Mazer and it stars Archie Yates, Ellie Kemper, Rob Delaney, Kenan Thompson of all people, and it's about another kid who's just left home alone while his family goes on vacation, and of course burglars want to break in, and there's a lot of chaos and traps and insanity just ensues. So, I really love the first Home Alone movie. Home Alone 2, not so much. I haven't even bothered with the other sequels. I just heard nothing but bad things about them. So, I just didn't want to bother with them. And so, when I heard they were remaking Home Alone, or kind of like continuing that franchise in some way, I was skeptical. I was hoping that Disney would do a pretty good job with it, even though the Home Alone sequels, again, no one really cares about. And the cast sounded alright, like that kid from Jojo Rabbit, sure. Ellie Kemper, I like her. And then that trailer dropped. Yikes. It was awful. And the movie is somehow worse than that trailer. How is that even possible? I don't know. Is there anything I do like in this movie? A couple things, I guess. Admittedly, I laughed at a couple jokes, but I forgot about them. There are a couple traps that I thought, okay, that's kind of cool, I guess, but I've honestly forgotten most of them. I literally just finished this movie about, like, an hour ago, and I've forgotten most of it. And even though there's a cheap cameo from someone from the original movie, even that's not really that great when I think about it. It's like, oh, okay, it provides me a good laugh, but honestly, it's kind of just mean-spirited. It's just stupid. So, what is so bad about Home Sweet Home Alone? Pretty much everything else. This movie is a dumpster fire. It's insanity. It's just horrible, and it's just bad in every sense of the word. Jesus. So, the main thing that I really hated in this movie was that these characters are just so horrible throughout the entire movie, especially the kid. He was just such an asshole throughout this entire movie. He does some really horrible things throughout this entire movie. Literally, there's one point where he's actually at a church and he's actually contemplating stealing from a toy drive. And that's who we want from our protagonist. Someone who steals from a toy drive for kids from a church. This is a kids movie. Jesus. Even the burglars, they're just so stupid throughout this entire movie. At least, like, with Harry and Marv from the original movie, like, they were stupid, but they were at least funny stupid. These characters are just stupid. Like, I didn't even laugh at their stupidity, because their stupidity was just so obvious. And one of the burglars has a brother. He's obnoxious. He doesn't contribute to the plot at all. You could have taken him out entirely, and you would have had nothing changed about this movie. And on top of that, the kid's family's just awful. Like, really awful. Not like, the family from Home Alone was admittedly awful to Kevin in the beginning, but then they all kind of, like, come around to him at the end. This family's just awful. At least in the first Home Alone movie, they at least counted the kids and actually thought, oh, Kevin was there with them. No. No. They don't even look for him before they leave. There's not even an excuse as to, like, why they're leaving so late. And I'll get to that. But, like, Mac, the kid's family is just awful. Everyone in this movie is just a horrible person. Pretty much every character in this movie is just... Ugh, I hated everyone in this movie. It has some of the worst characters I've seen in a movie in quite a long time. Probably since Halloween Kills, but still. Anyway, there's a lot of awful attempts to recreate the original movie. Like, there's at one point where one of the kids actually puts his hands on his face and just starts, like, starts screaming, like, oh my god. And even, like, it... Not only does it, like, attempt to, like, recapture the spirit of Home Alone by recreating stuff from Home Alone, it has the audacity to make a joke about remakes. They literally watch a sci-fi remake of Angels with Filthy Souls. And someone goes, I don't understand why they remake movies. They're never as good as the original. And I'm like, oh, come on. You're not even being subtle. Oh my god. They make this joke about how remakes are terrible in a remake. That is terrible. Jesus. And, oh my god, I hated it. I hated this movie. And also, there's a lot of really lame product placement for, like, like an Oculus Rift, Lego, BMW, Roadrunner of all things. Like, okay, fine, whatever. And there's a lot of really dated references that no matter what Home Alone movie it is, it's just gonna be odd. It's just, like, there's a reference to selfies. Someone makes a Yo Mama joke. So it's like hashtags and shit. It's just dumb. Stop using references like this in your movies. Just stop. Stop. And there's a lot of really stupid and childish jokes throughout this entire movie. And they're really predictable, too. Like, there's this one really crazy scene where the burglars, they leave this church pageant. Despite their kids participating in it, they leave to go break into this house. And, of course, and in the scene, like, she's lifting her husband, and he farts on her face. Yeah, I saw that coming. And then there's one moment where you think he loses his balance. It's like, hey, I'm fine. I'm like, he's going to fall, isn't he? Yeah, he falls. Anyone who's ever seen, not just a Home Alone movie, anyone who's ever seen a movie could have seen that joke coming. The jokes in this movie range from, like, pretty bad to just really insane. It's just why? Just why? Why? And on top of that, this movie has a really strange perspective, like, for all these Home Alone movies, it's like, oh, it's mostly from the kid's perspective. This movie has the perspective of it being from the burglar's point of view for about half of it, and half from the kid's perspective. And that's weird, especially considering that why the burglars are actually doing this. It's just kind of weird. It's really weird, and just makes everything you see later on in the movie, like when they, break into the house on Christmas Eve and just get involved in all these traps. It's just really mean-spirited. It's just unfunny because these characters are going through a lot, and this is what you're doing to them? That's just horrible. It's funny when Harry and Marv get hurt because Harry and Marv are stupid and they clearly need to go to jail. But these people, you just feel sad. You just feel sad for them for most of the movie, and then when they get hurt in this final thing, it's just sad. It's just not even that funny. It's like, and it's honestly more mean-spirited than Home Alone 2 was. I'm not really the biggest fan of Home Alone 2. That's a different story, but this movie is just so mean-spirited, and it's just not as funny as the original. And I never expected anything to be as good as the first Home Alone movie, but oh my god, it's just bad. It's just horrible. Oh, and basically the main thing is that this is Home Alone on autopilot. Pretty much everything is just, it's not even half-baked. It's like a quarter-baked. It's so dumb. It doesn't even have like any of the great themes from the original movie. It's like the themes that they have in this movie are basically like the original, but there were never any moments where it was like, oh, they felt this. No, it's just thrown in there because it needs to have a message, and it just doesn't work. It annoyed me. It's like, oh yeah, message, sure, why not? Even though I never felt anything. Like in, you know how in the original Home Alone movie, Kevin's like, is my family gone? Did I make my family disappear? And he's like, he remembers all those horrible things he said, and like, I made my family disappear. But in this movie, the kid just immediately notices he's home alone, and he's like, hello, anyone here? All right, party. Nothing. Just nothing. Again, the main kid is just awful. Horrible. I hated him so much. He's an asshole. Stop it. I hated this movie. This Home Sweet Home Alone is just Home Alone on autopilot. It has none of the emotion, none of the humor, none of the themes, nothing that really works in this movie. Even though, like, I liked a couple moments from this, either they were really forgettable or they were just mean-spirited. And pretty much everything else fails. Everyone is awful. The jokes are terrible. The recreations of the original movie are awful. The jokes about it being a remake are awful. The product placement is terrible. The jokes are childish and predictable. And the perspective is just off. And it just made me feel bad for everyone involved. And again, it's just the original movie without really understanding anything about the original movie. I hated it. I really hated this movie. Man, did I really hate this movie. I keep saying that, but I don't think I can say anything else other than just don't bother. I'm going to give Home Sweet Home Alone, I'm going to go really, really, really low. I'm going to give it 0.5 out of 4 stars. Skip it. So... oh, I hate myself. So, did you see Home Sweet Home Alone? And are you drinking while watching it? I don't know. So, did you watch that? I hope you didn't. What's your favorite Home Alone movie, even though that's kind of a stupid question? Comment down below. Subscribe to the channel. This is Pat, and I want to make this movie disappear. That's all I'll say.